Imagine a country where your biggest concern while walking alone at night is whether you remember to bring your keys, not whether someone might follow you home. A nation where international travel guides struggle to identify areas visitors should avoid because such places simply don't exist, often in major cities. Certainly, this reality challenges everything we've come to expect about urban life in the 21st century, where feeling safe after dark has become a luxury reserved for gated communities and expensive neighborhoods. Poland has quietly revolutionized the relationship between citizens and their cities, creating environments where personal security isn't a constant calculation, but an assumed baseline. Foreign visitors consistently report feeling safer in Polish cities than in their own hometowns, describing experiences that sound almost fictional to residents of other major Western countries. So today we'll discover how Poland accomplished what seems impossible elsewhere, transforming major cities into places where safety isn't hoped for, but expected. While major Western cities struggle with rising crime rates and residents increasingly avoid going out after dark, Poland has quietly emerged as Europe's unexpected safety haven. The transformation becomes most apparent through what visitors might call the midnight walk test, the ability to wander city streets alone after dark without fear. Travel forums overflow with testimonials from tourists expressing genuine amazement at this phenomenon. I was so shocked at how walking at 3 a.m. at night, I never felt that safe as I'm from the US, wrote one visitor to Krakow on Reddit. This sentiment echoes across hundreds of travel testimonials where visitors from London, Paris, and New York describe their disbelief at feeling secure on Polish streets after midnight. The experiences of solo female travelers prove particularly striking. A 38-year-old Warsaw resident captured the local reality that shocks foreign visitors. I've walked through downtown Warsaw back to Ochota after late-night outings countless times ever since I was a teen and never encountered any sort of trouble. Her next observation sounds almost fictional to visitors from Western capitals. Bizarrely, we barely ever get catcallers here. When a Canadian woman expressed her concern about traveling alone in Warsaw at 3 a.m., locals responded with genuine puzzlement about why she would worry. In general, Warsaw is a safe city. I've never felt unsafe here, and I very often come back home in the middle of the night, one resident explained. Another Warsaw local added with characteristic understatement, "It's super safe. I walked around as a solo female at 1 a.m. in downtown, and I did not feel unsafe." And the travel industry has formalized what visitors experience firsthand. Poland ranked first globally for solo female travelers in 2025, according to WeThrift, scoring 99.59 out of 100 points. The study specifically highlighted Poland's combination of affordability and safety as creating a welcoming environment for solo female travelers. A travel blogger who chose Poland for her first ever solo trip explained her research process and conclusion. "Most importantly, I wanted to go somewhere I thought I'd feel safe as a solo female traveler," she wrote. "From my research, I gathered that Poland is a very safe country. Did I make the right decision? 100%. And the statistics support these personal experiences without overwhelming them. Poland now maintains a homicide rate of just 0.68 per 100,000 inhabitants, placing it among Europe's safest nations. Warsaw's assault rate stands at 1,600 incidents per 100,000, compared to Stockholm's staggering 3,107. Professional travel safety experts have taken notice of this transformation. Women traveling alone report feeling safer in Polish cities than in major Western European capitals, notes one leading travel safety guide. Both Warsaw and Krakow rank among Europe's top 5 safest cities according to recent assessments. Perhaps most telling are the testimonials from visitors who expected danger based on outdated stereotypes. One Reddit user reflected on the warnings they received before moving to Poland. A Frenchman told me that I should be careful because here it is full of racists and drunks. The reality proved completely different from these antiquated perceptions. Indeed, Poland's achievement goes beyond statistics to represent a cultural reality where midnight safety has become the norm rather than the exception. However, it wasn't always like this. Poland's current reputation for safety would have seemed impossible to anyone who lived through the country's chaotic 1990s. The fall of communism in 1989 initially triggered a crime explosion that would define Poland's most dangerous decade. Organized crime groups with names that sound pulled from Netflix series controlled vast territories around major cities. The Pruszków Mafia and Wołomin gangs ran sophisticated operations involving car theft rings, substance trafficking, kidnapping, extortion, and even murder. And these weren't street thugs, but disciplined criminal networks that exploited the weakened state apparatus during the democratic transition. The so-called Mafia decade featured enormous criminal fortunes, spectacular gang warfare, and a level of violence that terrorized ordinary citizens. In 1990, Poland recorded almost 750 murders, more than double today's levels despite a smaller population. By 2001, homicides peaked at 1,325 cases, representing a murder rate nearly 4 times higher than today. The political transformation had created perfect conditions for criminal enterprise. Traditional law enforcement structures had collapsed, while new democratic institutions remained too weak to maintain order. But you see, the situation wasn't unique to Poland, but reflected broader regional chaos. Throughout Central and Eastern Europe, crime rates exploded after communist regimes fell between 1989 and 1991. But Poland's breakthrough came in 1997 with the introduction of the Crown Witness system. This legal innovation allowed criminals to testify against their former associates in exchange for reduced sentences. The most famous case involved Jarosław Masa Sokołowski, whose testimony proved crucial in dismantling the Pruszków organization. His cooperation with authorities exposed the inner workings of Poland's most powerful criminal network and led to hundreds of arrests. Simultaneously, Poland underwent comprehensive police reform that transformed law enforcement from a political instrument into a professional force. The 1990 police law established fundamental new principles for law enforcement based on democratic accountability rather than political control. By March 2016, the reformed police force was trusted by more than 72% of Poles, a remarkable transformation from the communist-era militia. And the results proved dramatic and sustained. Poland's murder detection rate now stands at an impressive 99.2%, among the highest in Europe. Organized crime murders dropped to just 8 cases in 2022, down from hundreds during the peak years. Now, this transformation from post-communist chaos to European safety leader represents one of the most successful crime reduction stories of the past 3 decades. And yet the criminals didn't simply disappear. They encountered 3 unexpected cultural barriers that made their business model almost impossible to sustain on Polish streets. Poland's transformation into Europe's safest destination for solo female travelers was, in large part, achieved through 3 distinctive cultural habits that work together to create uniquely secure urban environments. The first habit involves what visitors often mistake for unfriendliness: Poland's mind-your-own-business culture. You see, Polish society operates on public introversion as a social norm, where respectful non-interference with strangers paradoxically creates safer public spaces. An American visitor captured this phenomenon. One cultural norm that is very different from the US is the amount of silence. Poles are very soft-spoken and very quiet. People walking by themselves were silent. Groups walking together were silent. This isn't rudeness, but a cultural expectation that public space belongs to everyone equally. Indeed, Polish people don't randomly greet strangers on the street. Store employees don't approach customers unless asked, and there's minimal expectation for social pleasantries with unknown individuals. Again, although some see this as rude, the safety benefit proves significant. Troublemakers are less likely to create confrontational situations when the social norm discourages unprompted interaction with strangers. However, this same insularity can make Poland less welcoming to outsiders and may contribute to the country's challenges with integration, although even that has a silver lining. See, the second habit involves Poland's distinctive approach to immigration rooted in historical trauma, what we might call the host-guest phenomenon. Having been wiped off the map for 123 years and losing millions of citizens in World War II, Poland developed a fundamentally different conception of nationhood than modern Western countries. Certainly, where America, Britain, and Canada arguably have evolved into economic zones welcoming global talent and labor, Poland sees itself as first and foremost a homeland for a specific people who nearly lost everything. And while this manifests in one of Europe's most restrictive immigration policies, the government argues this preserves social cohesion. Poland remains 95 to 97% ethnically Polish, where immigrants comprising mostly Ukrainians and Belarusians share similar cultural backgrounds as the countries border each other and for hundreds of years were actually the same country. Polish leaders point to London, Paris, and even Sweden's reported no-go zones as vindication for their closed-door policy. Indeed, the cultural consensus runs deep. Even Polish liberals who oppose the government rarely advocate for mass immigration. Thus, Poles across the political spectrum view their country as a place where visitors are welcomed temporarily, seen more as a guest, but not instantly entitled to permanent residence simply by arriving. Yet this isn't ethnic hatred, but a collective memory of occupation, partition, and even genocide, creating hypersensitivity to demographic change and erasure. However, the flip side of this is that Poland faces brain drain as educated youth leave for more diverse or socially liberal societies and labor shortages that immigration could solve. Therefore, the homogeneity that provides safety also arguably stifles innovation and cultural dynamism that comes from mixing different perspectives. The third habit involves Poland's cultural tradition of public respect for women, stemming from the historical concept of Matka Polka, or Polish mother. This archetype emerged during Poland's centuries of foreign occupation, establishing a cultural template where protecting women and arguably even matriarchal norms in the home and family became a matter of national honor. However, critics note this traditional reverence has also reinforced conservative gender roles and that Poland's restrictive abortion laws suggest a complex relationship between protection, respect, and autonomy. Additionally, the country's safety improvements coincided with EU membership and economic growth that lifted millions from poverty, factors that may be as important as cultural habits. In fact, some sociologists argue that Poland's safety comes partly from exporting its social problems. Millions of younger Poles emigrated for work, potentially taking crime-prone demographics with them. But Poland demonstrates that genuine urban safety is achievable without militarized policing or surveillance states. Young Poles now grow up absorbing these safety norms as natural parts of urban life rather than imposed rules. So for countries worldwide grappling with crime, Poland offers one model among many. Its success shows that safety can emerge from simple cultural habits and social cohesion. And now we'd like to see you in the comments. Have you been to Poland before? Or after watching content like this, would you like to? We look forward to hearing your thoughts below, and thanks for joining us for another episode.